Welcome back, everybody, to the Steven Talk Soccer YouTube channel. I am joined by a very, very special guest. I literally just met this guy, or maybe not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, and now have him on joined with me today to come and talk about his career and how far he's come. His name is Ryan. I'm not gonna give away the government unless he says it's his government himself, but I'm joined by Ryan today. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you. No, man, I'm excited. We've been speaking for a little while now. Met you at the media day.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit that we spoke about in the past. So, oh, dude, I'm excited for this.
Definitely. He's a player who I would call, I wouldn't call him a mercenary. That sounds like an Assassin's Creed term, but that's not what I'm trying to say. But he definitely has been around and played in many different teams, which we're going to get into. But I met him through Montreal United, so shout out to you guys. Obviously, you know, I was once a media member, a part of the team a couple summers back. Now I'm doing my own content with players that play for the club. So, Ben, shout out to you when you see this. But yeah, I'm joined by Ryan here today, and I just want to start off by saying, what got you into the game? Why did you want to become a football or soccer player, depending on what audience is listening?
Yeah, man, my whole family. My mom really pushed me to play at a young age. My whole family loves football, so it was just, I grew up with the ball on my feet, so it's not even, I was born and loved the game since I was born, so it was even at just a very young age, so like even just kicking the ball in the yard. And especially once we speak about where I moved, then you'll understand as well why I gained more love for the game.
So let me ask you this question. Were you like having to juggle between playing other sports? Was it like also like a mixture of maybe you like the volleyball or basketball? I know in North America, especially a lot of players, they don't always pick football or soccer right away. They have other sports that they juggle with. Did you have that problem before choosing one, doing it to be soccer?
I moved very young overseas, so not really. It just was soccer, football. But I played basketball growing up. I was a kicker, football. I ran track. I ran cross country. So I did everything. I even did tennis for a little while. So, bro, I played so many sports in my life, but I knew soccer was the one that I loved the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I tried to play competitively in other sports, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same as this sport and how you hit all points: running, teamwork, communication, leadership. It's just all around. It's just phenomenal. It's an amazing sport. You meet so many amazing people. That was the biggest thing. Even from a young age, I understood that early.
No, of course, and it's funny you say that. I do feel like with football, and with every sport, everyone always says that when you have a sport you like a lot, what ends up happening is you fall so deeply in love with it that the other ones become irrelevant. And based on what you're explaining, oh my God, this fly is killing me. But based on what you're explaining, that's the same vibe I'm getting, and I think that's really important that, you know, when you find your skill set, you find what you're good at, you hone in on it, you know. And I can tell from just watching you play, I've already seen you play at least once, and I'll make that a couple more times minimum before the end of the season. But so talk to me now about where you started. Like, I don't know if you started at an academy or just playing kind of like, you know, local soccer in your backyard or whatever, and a neighborhood team. Where does it start for you? What country or what area does it start in?
Yeah, so again, I was born in North Carolina in Charlotte. So whenever I was born, it wasn't a big soccer city. So of course I played like in the street with my friends and all that. But when I was around like 6, 7 years old, I moved over to Germany. And I played in a rec league, and we moved there because my family is in the military, the U.S. military. So we moved over there and was on a military base. So I was around like a lot of like Americans as well. So I was growing up playing street ball, all that, rec league. And then through a rec league, I got scouted by a professional academy. It's called Kaiserslautern. So whenever I was there, then I got like this scholarship kind of opportunity where they pay full time for everything, for me to travel to games and all that. So then I was around an academy growing up for a couple years, maybe 3 years or so. So we played teams like Bayern Munich's academy growing up. We went over, you know, I remember noticeably the biggest thing was me and Thomas Müller. So like meeting him as a young player was just like, you know, the biggest thing is you look at players like Neymar, Ronaldo, where they're athletically gifted or, you know, they dribble amazingly. But the biggest thing I learned from meeting a guy like Müller was technical abilities. You don't always have to be the flashiest dribbler or the best goal scorer or, you know, the fastest on the field. It's just positioning and understanding of where you're at and what sections of the field you're at and what to do. So it was incredible experience, like going to Germany and starting my career there. You know, even they toned in really hard on being comfortable with both feet. So there's times where people think I'm left-footed, but I'm naturally right-footed. So I learned so much at that academy growing up that it makes me think sometimes if I stayed there my whole career, where would I be? But I think that's the beauty that I moved around so much that I got to experience the world in so many different ways.
Definitely. I have two things to ask you. The first thing I want to ask is, who's the player that you look up to when you were younger? Like, who inspired you in terms of, like, I know obviously you and I were of a similar age. We come from an era where the two main players that people choose from is Messi and Ronaldo.
Right.
Let me ask you, is your favorite player, the player you look up to, is it one of those names, or is it someone different that you have, like, oh, that's the guy I really like want to aspire to become or follow his career?
Of course, I love both players. They both are phenomenal at their respective ways. But the player that I loved the most growing up was Gareth Bale.
Wow. I'm shocked.
The
Really?
most amazing player I've ever seen play. And of course, like I can say like Müller as well, because, you know, I met him when I was young, and, you know, that experience alone made me focus so hard on him. His number is 25. My birthday is on the 25th. So, you know, I found those little similarities to pick at, but yeah, Bale was my guy growing up.
What about Bale's game? Is it because of like the intensity? He plays with such a high energy, high octane football. They're very, very powerful, extremely athletic. You know, has a great strike on him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giving you the reasons, but there must be other things you might like about him too.
It was his position change. He started off at a left back at Spurs before he went to Spurs even, and they transitioned him to a winger. When I was young, they tried to do the same thing with me. They started me at outside back, which I enjoyed. I really enjoyed it. But then slowly started moving into like a striker, winger position. And I told you, like, I love using my left foot, and he's a phenomenal left-footed player. His speed is insane. I used to do the same things in like rec league and then academy, just like push the ball past players and beat them 1v1 and go to goal or get a cross in. So it was that. I just fell in love with his game. I knew also like players like when Suarez went to Barcelona.
Yeah,
that was like a big thing for me as well. Like that pure striker and his flair that he had. Those two guys were like the guys I love. Fernando Torres as well. Well,
that's one of my favorites.
That guy was
special, man.
Special.
I think by you mentioning this, you are an attacking player, and I think if anyone who's watching and listening is wondering, it's clear to say that you play across the front three. I know, not like I know this guy, I don't know your profile, I haven't done all my scouting, but I have a good impression you probably have played left wing, striker, and right wing. Is there one that you prefer, or what would you say is your main position on the field?
Now, I moved here to Montreal, and they love playing me at the 9, the forward position, right, central striker, because I think my gift is I can attack very well with both feet in all angles, so I'm very comfortable at right wing, left wing. My favorite position is like an attacking mid. I love playing free flow because I feel like that's where I play my best, and breaking lines, getting in behind. I combine very well on the ball, and I think the biggest thing that I learned growing up was defensive duties as an attacker. People forget that it's 11 defenders on the field as well. It's not just 3 attackers, 3 midfielders. Everybody's a defender at one point or another. So watching Bale and his intensity on defense as well was a big reason too why I fell in love with that.
100%, man. That was very well put. I wanted to get the more context. How old were you when you were playing in the, was it Kaiserslautern? I know the team, but I just want to confirm. When you're playing for that academy, what age were you when you moved to Germany at that time?
So it was between the age of 7 up until 11, almost 12 years old.
Okay.
Then I came back to the States after that.
Okay, so you are in Germany from 7 to 11, 12, and you come back to the States again. Different state this time when you move back to America. What was the next step? So you play in that academy, you got your exposure, you guys started to play from a professional academy, which is, again, congratulations, that's a huge accomplishment. Especially coming from North America, I'm always super impressed. And then you come back to the States, and then what does football look like from that point on? Once you
it was different. It was a big culture shock, seriously, because I came from an academy where we was very toned in on possession, movement, and everybody understanding everybody's role. Even at a very young age, they really focus hard on understanding the parts of the field and where to move the ball at certain times, and it was very interesting, and it became just a norm to me. So whenever I came back to the States, I moved to Tennessee. And in Tennessee, it wasn't a big community of soccer or football. So I went for the beginning of my middle school there, and we didn't have a middle school team, so I played high school since 6th grade.
Wow.
So,
well, that is a huge jump.
Yeah, so I went to high school, but I've always been used to playing up age level, so I've always been used to being the youngest player, so that wasn't an issue for me. I knew I always was very tall as well, but skinny, even still. So, and I understood how to use that, and the biggest thing in Germany was, of course, the technical abilities, but I used my athletic gifts also to, beat players 1v1, which I feel very comfortable in at all parts. But coming over to the States was a big change because it was really focused on the athletic side of it. So it was very just long ball, chase and play, and very back and forth. So it took me a lot of time to adjust, and it took me maybe years to adjust to it. And again, when I first moved here, back to the States, to Tennessee, it was nice. Being around older players as well, high schoolers, was a big difference for me. So I'm around like 18-year-olds as not even 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big change. But the coach that I had, his name was Coach Romero. I'll never forget him. He really believed in me. He saw what I was and understood how I played the game different than everybody else. So I was very hard on myself. I was very confused. I thought I was the issue. But he understood, so he put me in like this attacking mid position, and I really felt comfortable there. But it was a big change. Seriously, that fast-paced movement compared to swinging the ball around a couple times and then trying to attack the wings is very different compared to back to the States.
Of course, 100%. And we were talking about this off camera too. I know how much the game changes between European football and North American football. We've seen that with even the Club World Cup happening this past summer, where you watch the likes of Inter Miami and Seattle Sounders playing against other big teams. And I think you can see it in tactics, in execution, in decision making. And I'm not saying this to completely, rain down or to completely diminish the quality in those leagues, especially in the North American leagues. However, I do notice for sure with players who told me they play abroad and they come back to play here, they notice a huge change in what you have to do and what's required of you.
Yeah.
So you play there, and then, how do I ask this? So yeah, you play there, and then the next step for you then is, what does it look like after that? So you play for your high school team, and you're playing many years above. You finish your time playing there, probably in that team for up until the time you graduate, or did you leave?
No. Yeah. So I was there from 6th grade to 8th grade, and then right before high school started, my 9th grade year, I moved to Savannah, Georgia. And Savannah, Georgia is a soccer community city. So I was around a lot of Latino style play. So then that possession base started to fall back in, and then I was back into who I was. At that age as well, I was experiencing growing pains and all that. So I also was adjusting to my new body. I grew 4 inches in one summer. So I went from like 5'8" all the way up to almost 6 foot in one summer. So It was so weird for my body to adjust to it. I still felt like, the quick, shorter dribbler, and then I was tall now all of a sudden. So it was nice. I spent there 4 years, playing varsity all 4 years, playing with older players, and a lot of players, I forget his name, but he played for Ecuador's national team.
Wow.
Phenomenal athlete. I was around so many good players. And a lot of guys that took me under the wing and really helped me adjust to, even moving to an inner city compared to living out of in a country-style area, and then going to a public school where it's very tight community. And it was a big change for me. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Seriously, it taught me so much.
Of course, so you say that would be like a formative time, and for you to be able to kind of take the next steps where you are now and where you're trying to go next. And that you're trying to tell me, so even in moving states within the same country, you notice a difference in football brand. Yeah, being in Tennessee, then switching to Savannah, you notice a change in what you were doing, the way you guys are playing, what was happening, and how you had to, combine with teammates, what the tactics of the coaches were, what the oppositions were like. Things were different, weren't they?
Yeah, very, very. Because when I first went to high school in this city, we won city championships first season, made it to state playoffs, and it was my first time not being a consistent starter. and that was the biggest change that I had to learn. So watching the guys above me play, learning from them, I of course was upset. I was young, but once I understood like why I wasn't starting, then I started to move on. Then I started a game. Then my sophomore year came around. I'm a consistent starter. So yeah, it was a big change for me. It was amazing too, though. I met so many different people. Even as far as Sunday League at 13 years old, playing with grown men, it brought that intensity to prepare for now. So now I go out, and whoever the name is that I'm playing against or not, I feel comfortable at any position. It doesn't matter. I've been doing this for so long, playing with guys older than me. So now when I'm around guys my age, it's so different. So
of course, you almost feel like the older dude, even though you're the same age in terms of what you've seen and your experience of being with people who are obviously played the game longer, know more about it, and been around longer. But that's really interesting. You're super successful when you were in Savannah. You win city championship. You go to the state playoffs, you said as well. Yes?
Yeah.
And then from there, this is where you make that big move. Is this where we can talk about the next step where you lead the country again, I think?
Well, I went to college. I went to university.
In the States?
Yeah. Straight out of high school. I went to a combine called PSC Combine. It's a pro soccer consulting.
Where is this?
This was in Orlando, so I went to Orlando. Got invited to Sweden and England. Ended up not going just because that's when COVID came around as well. It was kind of like it was right when I graduated. COVID hit my junior year.
That would have made sense. You would have graduated.
It was still like a weird timing. So I ended up not going overseas.
Makes sense.
But I went the college route. So I went to a small college called Newberry College in South Carolina. It's Division II. Met some very, very, very quality players. Was around a nice coach. Got some good opportunities there. Ended up transferring to another university called North Greenville University, another D2 school. Went there, was put into a new position change because whenever I went to university, I still was playing winger and all that, not striker so much. But whenever I went to Greenville, I was playing outside back again. So that's whenever I speak about Bale being my favorite player, it was just like, okay, cool. Like I'm back to being when I was young, playing outside back. So I felt very comfortable there. Really actually enjoyed it more than being an attacker. It felt like there was no pressure. There was so much more space to work with. I really enjoyed taking players 1v1 and defending 1v1 as well because I'm a 1v1 player. So whenever I watch somebody doing moves 1v1 on me, I feel like I kind of know what you're going to do already.
You can telegraph it. Yeah,
in a way. I can see body movement or the way you receive the ball, how you receive the ball. So little details like that I learned so much in university, even receiving the ball that I didn't learn in Europe. But I'm around European players in college, so it gave that similar feeling as well.
Of course. Now that's a really big deal. And I think typically when people hear, you played D2 instead of playing in a D1 team, but it doesn't always mean that because you're playing in a lower division that the experience or the what's it called? I guess not just experience, but the skills and the qualities that you pick up as a player can't be just as big, because sometimes playing in a bigger team or in a higher division means you get less exposure and less minutes, and less minutes often means less ability to practice and get better, and you can probably speak to that saying when you're playing on that team, but I'm certain in your mind you probably knew this isn't where you want to finish your career and stop in that necessarily in that league, but no, this is a good step for me. I'm going to make it further beyond this. I can take what I learned from here and go further than that.
Whenever I first went to university, I didn't start, and I really was hard on myself about it. Was training a lot, getting better. Then I finally got my first start, and I remember it. It was against my best friend actually. Shout out to Alex Woods. I know he's gonna probably watch this. He went to Coker University, and I remember it was my first start against his team, and that showed me okay, I can move forward in this sport as well. It's not just I've been playing for so long. I can actually pursue this as well. And it was little details that added up over time that made me feel this way. There was a lot of bumps in the road, of course, just like any athlete experiences, but it's your response that means more.
Definitely, that's very, very well put. So you leave there now from the school that you were playing, the D2 school you were playing in called Newberry, is that correct? This was in South Carolina, like you said. And from there, where do we go next? Because I want to build this up so we kind of know how you end up in Montreal, obviously. So where do you go from there?
I spent a semester at each university. I I got sick with COVID at the second school, and I was behind on so much schoolwork. It was snowing like crazy there. I was like, this place is not where I want to be. I got injured a little bit as well, so I didn't play a lot of games that season.
Yeah.
And I just felt like my time in university was already at an end. So I dropped out of school, and I moved to North Carolina with my parents. And when I was there, I worked a job a little bit as a technician. I learned so much things about life outside of football, because it was just, my life was football. And the second I had to take a step back and be forced to do something else, that situation there was the biggest blessing of my life, and I didn't know it at that point, because not being able to play made me realize how much I really love to play and how much effort I would really give into it. So in that city, Fayetteville, there's a...
Hold on, J. Cole City.
J. Cole, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Dreamville.
Shout out the Ville, man. Shout out the Ville. It's crazy.
So
Continue.
when I was there, there was a newly professional indoor team. It was called NISL, very similar to MASL, Major Arena Soccer League. They actually are bought out now by them. But I found out about that. So, and in Fayetteville, there's not a lot of teams out there or opportunities. So the only closest thing is Charlotte, which is an hour and a half, maybe 2. So I went for tryouts for the indoor professional team.
Wait, you played indoor ball as well?
Yeah, I played.
Okay,
yeah.
continue.
So
Yeah,
I
go
was
on.
19 years old at this time.
Yeah.
I went to the tryouts and actually got kicked out. I got into
Whoa,
a fight.
whoa. That took
Yeah.
a turn. What do you mean? What happened?
Yeah. I got into a small fight, like a little scuffle with one
With
of
your
their players.
teammates? Oh, an
Yeah,
opposition.
No, like with one of the guys trying out as
Oh,
well.
okay, go on.
Yeah.
You can
So
see.
then they kicked me out. I was so frustrated about it. I went over to Charlotte, tried out with the team called Charlotte Eagles. It's a USL2 team. Summer ball. I trained with them for a couple weeks.
I feel like I've heard of that team
Yeah,
before.
it's a small team. It was nice. But our
Chemistry.
yeah, it didn't connect. The team had one thing what they liked to do, and I had another thing of what I like to do. So I remember as I was in Charlotte, I had this, like, I was thinking, I was like, man, like, I really don't have any opportunities to do right now. So I was like, I'm gonna message this indoor team again and just ask for one more time. And the guy told me, okay, come back one more tryouts. That's it though. I remember this is when they started their preseason. So I went over and I went in with a different mentality. I trained differently. I actually really focus on indoor soccer because it's a complete different sport. I remember when I was living in Germany during the winter season, because in Germany it was snowing so much. So we was put into indoor soccer at futsal. It was different than indoor soccer. Futsal and indoor soccer are very different. Futsal is no walls. Indoor soccer is like with walls. Like they just put turf over a hockey rink, and then you play with the walls and all that. Yeah, it was a culture shock. It was,
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
a different sport. I
course.
always tell people it's a different sport. It's not the same
You
as
can't
outdoor
compare
11v11.
them. No, even
It's
7v7 outside. It's
No,
not the same.
not even. That's the most similar thing to it. But even then, the intensity, the pace is so fast. Even as small as you probably seen players receiving the ball with the bottom of their foot and controlling it like that, moving.
Yes.
You can instantly tell an indoor player just by the way they control the
They
ball.
receive the possession. Yeah.
And just little details like that. So I went to the tryouts again, like a practice, and then they offered me a contract. So I made the team, offered me a contract, I signed, and then immediately, like 2 days later, we went to Memphis for a game and showed up. Incredible arena. There's people there to watch us play. We had like this whole pre-game, this and this and this, and it was really like a professional atmosphere in a complete different way. Like as indoor soccer, you're meeting players that play national team and these futsal teams and all that.
Some ballers
So,
out there. Yeah.
Man, yeah.
I know
Indoor
it-
players
yeah, they're
are.
different. They're
I
different.
always say this. They're the best players, just not the most athletic. But they're
or
the
even
best.
tactically in tune in terms of playing an 11v11 game.
Yeah.
But the translation, I mean, I'll give you guys an example. I know this as a Premier League fan. I'm certain you probably know about this too. But Max Kilman, who now plays for West Ham, he was on the England futsal national team or whatever. I think they won their championship. Don't quote me on that. But I was watching, and the reason I'm asking and bringing this up is because he plays top level Premier League football now for a relatively decent side. Shout out West Ham fans. But he went from playing indoor and also just futsal ball to playing 11v11 expansive football. Not a lot of players can, from my knowledge, not a lot of players can switch from playing indoor futsal style to all of a sudden being able to go back to 11v11 and still have things clicking and using the same mindset you have in a small setting.
It's a very positionless game. The rotations are very different, and especially you see it when you play good teams. We played a team in Orlando, and they ended up winning the championship and all that. But man, watching these guys play, like even as you're playing, they're moving in slow motion, like in slow motion in a crazy way. The way they're receiving the ball, the way they're switching their defenders and attackers moving back and forth and across each other, and the way they're scoring goals, tap-ins, and against other professional players. Like I had good teammates. Like it wasn't like I was playing with bad players. Like I'm playing with other pros and guys that previously won the championship the season before. My team won it the season before. So I was around like good players, a good coaching staff. It was crazy. So going there, we were being flown out to different states, all that, being paid per diem, being paid per game, all that, full expenses paid for. It was amazing opportunity. But yeah, to back your point, a lot of players can't do that indoor to 11s because of that positionless sense. And also the biggest thing that I took away was from coming from indoor to back to 11s was how big the field was. Beforehand, I didn't understand it. But whenever I came back out, the field was giant. You see 20 yards, and 20 yards is the size of the field on it. Not really, but you know
what you mean.
You know what I mean.
Based on context and from like the dimensions of how much space you're afforded in a small game versus on the bigger pitch changes the things completely.
So much.
No, 100%.
You have 2 yards to work with, or 2 steps to work with in indoors, so you have to be very quick you have to know 3 steps ahead what you're going to do before you even get the ball, or before you even move to your spot. You have to already know your movements and all that. So whenever you come back outdoor, some players understand it, some players don't, but the little movements in like tight spots, it's crazy. That's like, whenever I'm playing, I can immediately tell if somebody played indoor football.
You can see it.
I can immediately tell just by the way they move, the way they run, like the way they're checking their shoulders or opening up their hips. I can immediately tell, like instantly. It's crazy.
Of course. So I mean, that definitely helps give you a lot more, like you said, perspective when it comes to playing 11s now, and probably shapes a lot of how you play the game now.
Yeah, for sure.
But even if you don't play that for very long, I know even for me in my little stint of playing futsal when I was in high school, high school, I remember thinking to myself, I am not an indoor player whatsoever. I love using my speed and being able to use the open field to make the most of that. And thinking to myself, I would love to be able to master the inside game so that when I am playing outside, all of those necessary skills you need to be really good a futsal player can help you in the bigger field.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on. I really did enjoy that though. The next thing I want to ask is, now that you played at this for this team, how long were you with this?
I was there for a year.
A year. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you decided to say, you know what? Let's move on back to 11s now.
Yep.
Playing outside. And where did you go next from there?
So from there, I went to I got invited to a NISA team. That's basically like 4th division in the States, maybe less, but it's the first tier above from semi-pro to pro. It's the first pro. And it was a team called Club de Leon in Orlando. So I went there, made the team, did a little bit of training with them, but still just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So I came back to to North Carolina, and I played with the indoor team that I played with called Fayetteville Fury. They expanded to 11s into a league called UPSL. And UPSL is like the most notable semi-pro league in the States. It's UPSL Premier and UPSL Division 1. Those are the 2 standings in it. And it's similar to like NPSL. A lot of players probably will understand it from the States. So we went into UPSL Premier. So then we're playing with basically like the top Division 2 players, or Division 1 players, all that. So Then whenever I transitioned back to outdoor, some of those guys followed, some guys didn't follow to that team, the outdoor team. But I played there for a season. Wasn't the best. I think we rushed into a league that we weren't ready for at the time with some players' experience and whatever. But it was very fun. I played against some very good teams, very good players. Learned a lot. Spent a year there. Then there's a Villarreal academy near Fayetteville, it's in Fayetteville. So they decided to make a UPSL team. They brought a coach from Spain to help in the beginning part of it. We did film with them. We basically did the exact same training sessions they did for the U23s in Villarreal, Spain. Yeah, it was incredible. But I didn't grow up in the academy, so some of the academy boys got selected to go over to Villarreal, which was an incredible opportunity for them. A lot of them enjoyed it. They learned so much. I mean, you're in the system there, you're all of that. But even still playing from afar in the States, doing the exact same things they do, it took my game to a complete different level. I was around a really nice coach. His name is Tyler, Coach Tyler Hudson. Very, 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 very smart guy. Really helped me a lot, like focusing on my positioning and movements, because of course I still always play the way I learned from Germany and all that, but as you know, like playing with other players in different countries and moving around, you adjust to where you're at as well. You still want to play your game, but you adjust. So he helped me really understand the movements, what I'm best at as well, and put me in a good position. So I learned a lot at that Villarreal. I played a season there, started the next season with them as well in the UPSL. And during that time as well, I got invited to another NISA team, was deciding to leave or not. Decided not to, which can go one of two ways. You know, sometimes I think about it, but that's part of the game. You know, you get opportunities and you don't get opportunities. So that was a new thing for me as well. But yeah, it was really an amazing opportunity playing with that.
100%. So does this mean we have now progressed to the point where we come to Montreal United, or are we still not there yet?
Almost. I bounced around between two other UPSL teams, and then at that point I was ready to move elsewhere. You know, the US wasn't helping me out so much. You know, where I was living at, I understood quickly I wasn't going to go into a professional academy. Charlotte FC is, again, like 2 hours away, whatever, but very slim, you know, to go in as an outsider into there. You know, and respectively, as they should, they're focusing on their academy boys and all that, which is good. So I was going to pro combines and all of that, and then during that time I met a family member that lives here, and that's whenever we was having talks about where is next for me. So as we spoke about on sex as well, my family lives in Israel. So I went over there for some trials, made two teams, and was deciding either to stay there or not. Of course, life is life, things were happening there, so I felt it was best to come back to the States. And that's whenever my family member from here spoke to me about potentially moving here. So of course I never thought twice about it. I took the opportunity, moved here, and now this is where I'm at right now.
When you come here now, and this is the bigger question, we can kind of step away from the career stuff, because I think we kind of mapped that out really well. And thank you for kind of telling all of us that story. So now you're here in Montreal. When you come to a new team, do you find it hard to kind of blend in or to learn the coach's tactics? Or obviously you know what position you want to play, and you tell them, you know, I have a variety of areas and I feel like I'm most effective. But what is it like for you to switch teams so often and have to kind of adjust to their specific demands of you versus what you think you might be good at giving to the team?
Yeah, of course I'm always I'm a coachable player. Of course, like, I have experience and I have my style of playing that I will never completely change for anybody, but I will adjust into a team. So I didn't have an issue adjusting to here or any team in the past. My biggest thing is I love being a part of a team. So I always early on into every team, I focus on building relationships with players. Of course, like, that's not the main priority for me all the time, but it is very important to know what you're doing, what I'm doing, and the way you like to play, the way I like to play. And that way you build connection quick. On and off the field, I think that's a big part players and athletes forget is you have to have a relationship also off of the field. Even if you know you're going to be here 2 months or 8 months or 2 years, it's still very important. I think it's the beauty of life as well, like meeting people and knowing their background and all that. So moving here, and especially to an area where they speak a different language, it was an adjustment. But the coach already kind of understood my style. We spoke previously about what I'm looking to do in my career as well, so he understood where to place me and to continue playing me in the positions that I feel I'm the best at. And from there, I've adjusted to a new position. And now I'm priority playing striker. When I'm usually always been a winger, he sees the game differently than me. I trust him. I respect Jonathan so much, and he's probably going to watch this as well. So shout out to coach. But yeah, it's been a wonderful experience learning from him, and especially his background as his playing career, his coaching career, the way he trains. He's trained some notable players like Irving Lozano,
Baller.
these top players from Mexico and all that. So I really just put my head down and just grind. Like, I love to learn, I love to adapt, I love to change, and even living conditions. Like, I love to be in a situation where I have to test myself and see if I can do it. And of course, you have your head up and chest out, you're going to see new things and be able to take everything with a grain of salt as well. Life is going to be life. You're going to go ups and downs, but again, like I said earlier, it's the way you respond that means more than your mistake in the past. So I love it. I love this experience here as well.
That's really good to hear. So 2 things I have to ask to wrap this up. I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you again so much for coming on. The first question is, I don't even know the answer to this question. Normally I meet people, and before I even ask them, I have a guess, I have a good hunch, but I really don't know. What team do you support?
Where? Like in Spain?
In life. Like, what's the club that you were like, this is my team? I don't want to guess and get it wrong, so I'm just going to let you tell me before I say,
okay.
I don't know for sure.
So,
I have no idea. When
I was living in Germany, I did so much traveling, and thanks to my parents and my wonderful family, like I have I'm going to answer your question, but I want to include this as well.
Of course, go on.
I have an amazing support system behind me. My family has literally always been 100% with me. Even in the downs, my mom has always told me, like, do not give up. Like, money is money, but you have your whole life to work. Money's going to come and go, but age and experience and health is something that none of us can stop. It's always going to decline in a way as well. I mean, of course, in this age, we're going to be at our peak or whatever, but they've always pushed me to play this game, to reach my goals, to chase. Always, pick me up whenever I fell down. I broke my collarbone a couple of summers ago, so that was very mentally hard for me.
You just happened to drop that information now, casually. So is this beforehand?
Yeah, like I said, I move on to things, but to answer your question, traveling in Europe, I went to Barcelona and saw Camp Nou back then, and got to experience to watch prime Messi, Neymar,
No, you didn't.
Suarez play,
No.
Xavi, Iniesta,
Stop
Busquets, Jordi Alba, all of those players play, and Barcelona, Barca, like,
So you're a culé then?
love them. I love the style.
I see,
Love it.
man.
Love it.
I don't blame you. I'm actually, you can be honest, I knew for a fact you supported a Spanish team. So is that either going to be, I didn't think Atletico. I'm thinking either Real Madrid or Barcelona. And to be a Barca fan, especially nowadays, and not nowadays, in life, it's the greatest choice. Is what made me fall in love with watching the game too, and obviously watching Messi from young as well. So I'm not surprised. But you skipped over something I want to touch on. It actually prompts one other question I want to ask you. You said you suffered a collarbone accident or injury.
Yeah.
How did you recover psychologically, and what does it look like when you're, like you said earlier, about not being able to play as much as you want to, but it kind of makes you reflect a bit more about, like, I guess the bigger meaning of why you're playing the game, what your ambitions are, what you're trying to achieve when you're not playing?
No, great question. Great. It gave me so much perspective because it was right in between my seasons of UPSL to, waiting for an opportunity where I was invited to Sweden. So this was my focus was training, getting physically strong to prepare to go over to Sweden. And I broke my collarbone in a Sunday league game. Yeah. I remember
always Sunday league.
Yeah, it was like the first 10 minutes of the game. I jumped up for something and got pushed and fell right onto my collarbone. I knew it broke immediately. Again, had amazing people around me to help me. Shout out to Stevie and Miguel Sanchez. They amazing people, not even just football players and coaches, phenomenal people that helped me so much like in that moment. But you know, I broke my collarbone, but the thing that I was crying about was I knew I couldn't play. And going to the hospital and the collarbone being almost completely split in half, they told me like if it was just like a degree more or something like tiny bit more, I would have to get a rod and like 16 pins and all that. And it was so mentally like hard, because they would tell me like, oh, you have between like 5 months to recover or 4 to 5 months. But you know, at that moment, time is so slow where you're like 4 months, like, wow, it feels like a year. And the first couple of days of having to sleep upright in a chair, not being able to lay down, not being able to look over my shoulder, not being able to take a deep breath. These little details show me so much, not even about how much I love football, but just how blessed we are on a day-to-day life to be able to do the things we complain about the most. Like, oh, like I have a headache, or I don't feel like going out to train. Like, you know, like that's such a blessing in itself to be able to complain about not wanting to do more. Like you see what I mean by that?
100%.
Like, and that was what triggered everything. And again, in the moment, it didn't feel like a blessing at all. And knock on wood, I pray to God nothing ever happens to me or to anybody. But that was the biggest blessing in my life, because as I was sitting in that chair every single day with my arm and like this in a sling, and no position was comfortable, I understood how much I loved. I understood how much I really had to give to the sport and to the people around it that were there for me. Like, that's when it really hit me, like not training hard or working hard is so much disrespect to the people that push you every day or that respect you or that believe in you. So it changed my perspective on so many things, not just football, again, like on life itself. So it reminded me so much of, I would have just dreams of growing up in Germany, playing like my first experiences, like me and Müller, meeting these great players or watching these players play in stadiums, you know, going to be a ball boy or like a mascot in these pro teams, pro games and all that. Like, it just, everything was flashing in my eyes. And then that love for the game, I've always had it and I loved it, but it amplified so much. Like, being in a position where I couldn't, you know, I was trying everything I could to like rush the process and all that, you know. Even like as far as losing weight during that time, you know, having to take medicine when I wasn't about taking medicine, I didn't enjoy it. But that moment, you know, once I was able to, you know, move my arm a little bit, you know, I was, you know, passing the ball against the wall. When the doctor said I still had like a month and a half left, I was still like doing everything. It still was actually broke. I was wearing a sling and I was going out to like pick up soccer with like my team and like playing. Mm-hmm. And like my coach, Miguel Sanchez, he's definitely going to probably watch this as well. Would always tell me like, hey, relax, don't do this. And I'm going like shoulder checking players with the broken collarbone still. Like, I'm like 3 weeks away from being recovered and I'm like going in hard. Like, it's just that drive was just, wow, it was amplified. So once I was recovered and came back, I knew exactly what I had to give to life and to this beautiful sport, of course. But dude, an injury, and there's some players that I've seen experience way worse injuries than me and bounce back even stronger. It really drives you to come back stronger, which was something I would have never received without that, you know? Without that.
Oh, that's a lot of perspective, damn. You had me, I was listening and I was so engaged, like I'm forgetting what I wanted to ask you. But no, the last thing I wanted to ask you is, what is next for Ryan? What's next for you? What ambitions, what are the aspirations, what's the end goal necessary? What is the short term? You know, they always say this in like, you know, school exercises, the short term, the medium term, and the long term goals. What are those three things for you look like football wise? Yeah,
short term, I want to continue improving myself, of course. Every day I try my best to improve. I love to walk away with this experience here. I have I'm going to be in Montreal for 4 months, and I want to look back and say, okay, so for around 120 days, if I can say I improved for 120 days, each day, just at least just a little bit, I can walk away smiling. Of course, my dream is always to go pro. I've been speaking with a JDO management agency about my career and the future plans that I have coming up within the next couple weeks. So, of course, I want to continue traveling, going country to country, because this experience of going to a new country, adjusting for life itself, just again, it makes the experience of playing so much better. I love this quote. It's, you can't cheat the game. What you give it is what it's going to give you. So if you treat yourself good and do the right things when people are watching and when people aren't watching, life is going to give it back to you one way or another. But you can't carry that feeling of, oh, I'm doing this just to receive something good. You have to do it because you truly love to eat well, to train well, to kick the ball when I'm bored, to go out and just meet people because I'm like, wow, like I don't have friends or family here, so I need to go out and meet people and see who wants to train, go to a field and there's some players kicking the ball, go meet them. You know, just putting myself in an uncomfortable position to know that it's going to help me grow in every aspect of life. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about everything is like, if you really tone in on improving yourself and improving the things you can control, not the uncontrollable, and really focusing on the difference between external confidence and internal confidence, it changes your perspective so much. It changed my perspective so much of using goals or assists or, you know, a good step over or a coach saying I played well, which is external confidence, to fuel myself, or to be like, to look at myself in the mirror after a bad game or not the best training session and be like, I'm still the same person I was yesterday and I can still be able to improve right now. I can still be able to improve tomorrow. And once you connect that with life, and also you have to find a way to separate the two, of course, because if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's going to overflow. So you have to be able to take a step back sometimes and, you know, take care of your people, your family, your friends, yourself, your everything, all these little details. But once you understand like the picture, the grand scheme of things, of course, I'm not a master or anything, but I really have focused so hard on that details of understanding who I am, so then I can project to other people like what my life and what my experiences of changing, of experiencing good and bad things in my life, or hard things, happy things, can really influence other people, and especially the beauty of yourself, you know? And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it, man. I really appreciate every day. I appreciate people like you that are wanting to grow, because that's exactly how I am. I want to grow in all aspects. I want to adjust, I want to learn, I want to meet people, I want to smile, I want to laugh, I want to, you know, experience things on my worst days that I can say, wow, you know what, I'm thankful I can say I had a bad day, because some people, they're not here to say they had a bad day. Some people can't smile on a bad day. So if I can smile on my bad days, maybe I can help somebody smile on their bad day.
Wow. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the best interviews I've ever done. And if you guys don't think so, whether you're listening or watching here, right here on this channel, I don't know what else to say, but Ryan, again, I really, really appreciate you coming on. And I actually want to kind of get just a quick yes or no answer to this question. You would say that how players in any level, how they are off the field impacts how they are on the field?
100%. I've played with players in my high school days or college days that were better than me. I will admit, they were better than me. They were more athletically gifted than me, but they didn't pay attention to things off the field that influence you every day, and the mental part of the sport, of life, of really taking care of yourself mentally. It really translates to everything. It's the way you respond in negative situations, to even as small as the temperature of the field, you know, it's a psychological thing. If you put in your head like, wow, it's so hot, you're going to feel worse. So it's the little details. So yes, 100%. It matters what you do off of the field. And especially if you want this as a career, every detail matters. I mean, you look at players like Vinicius Jr., who came from little slums in Brazil and made his way into Flamengo, and then from there moved over to Real Madrid. Like, that's an incredible story. And he spoke about his experiences of when he went there and played with Castilla, the second team, of how difficult it was for him and how people were saying like, oh, like he's not a good player, but how he stayed focused off of the field, did the right things, and now look at him. He's the biggest player in the world. He's a phenomenal player, athlete, and I'm sure he takes care of himself in the most top ways. I watched his documentary on Netflix, and watching that, seeing how he is day to day, and of course they're going to highlight the good things, but there was, you know, the behind the scenes of his hard days. It shows how much off of the field really impacts a player's life and the people around you as well. I think that's an important thing too, is some people don't have the fortune of having a good support system around them, which I have an amazing support system around me. So I'm so thankful for my family and all my friends and everybody, seriously, teammates as well. But it's tough. Some players don't have that, so you have to find that balance, and it's a balance. It's not a high and low. It's a humility feeling of, at your highest, you still have to remember who you are, and at your lowest, still remember who you are, because that's the only way, in my opinion, you're going to continue growing and learning and experiencing and enjoying the process, not just enjoying the peaks. Like, you have to enjoy the bad games. Like, you have to look back and say, I'm thankful I had a bad game and I have the opportunity to improve next game. Like, that itself, like, whenever I say that, it fuels me so much to know, like, that's life. That's life. In the sport and outside of the sport, you have to be able to say, I'm thankful to complain about something and I can improve it tomorrow, and that's comes off of the field. It's not on the field. You don't learn that on the field. You have to take the time to learn it off the field. And 100%, that's my biggest thing that I focus on. That.
Wow. I was so locked in. I was too busy being inspired. But again, like I said, thank you again so much for joining me.
I appreciate you so much.
Of course, man. I appreciate you coming on. I'm certain this won't be the last time we do some sort of content together in the future. But if you guys want more of Ryan, again, make sure to let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us and for watching us and listening. If you're listening, then that's also really much appreciated. So yes, it's been your boy, Steven, joined by Ryan. I'll speak to you guys again soon.
Thank you.